use a lot.
Yeah, everybody's got one.
Yeah, it's just a company that gives me 10% off if I post about them on Instagram.
Yeah, sponsorships.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would actually be a solid one too. Sponsorships, and why do you want them? Because it makes no sense to me.
We would have to have devil's advocate in here. So like Rachel or somebody to, to argue the case for it.
I don't know at a normal level there is a case for it.
Great. Then it's a Dudley and Ranchberry situation.
Yeah. Rachel's definitely Ranch Fairy.
Kind of. I mean, you're just like, hey, we want to have an honest conversation.
Yeah.
Everybody is always worried about what sponsorships they're going to get.
Yeah.
What's the reason for doing it?
Yeah.
You look at the high end, like Rachel, she gets bows.
She got a bow.
Okay, a bow. That's
that
a
she has to commit to. Like, if she decides 2 months from now she doesn't like it, she's still fucking shooting it.
It's a $1,500 bow, and it's a fantastic bow.
Not for her, it's not.
Okay, so it's cheaper, but that's $800, $900. So it's like there is still.
I like freedom.
I agree too.
I'm a peacock, Luke. You gotta let me fly.
You just call himself a peacock?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, jeez.
If you saw the last video, you know. At least I got my zipper up this time.
I think my zipper's up.
Oh, I got my IBO belt buckle on. Oh, yeah, Luke's making the case for sponsorships. I wonder why.
We're in the third place right here in the team event. Pretty sure we were one of 4 teams.
I think it was actually 3.
Oh, don't tell them that. We got third. We're podium.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit like this now.
Yeah. Like I'm embarrassed of my buckle.
Make sure I don't have any crazy hairs.
Oh, I got that photo. That could be our thumbnail.
What's that?
Your hair from yesterday. The hair horns. Yeah.
Wolverine look.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Behind the Counter.
Today we are downrange.
Yes. Still metaphorically behind the counter. Today we're talking about, so we're always thinking about what are we going to do for these videos, and really there's no end to it, because we want to promote the truth of it, and all of it is based on things that we're experiencing in the shop, conversations that people are having, and I don't believe in coincidences, but it seems like everybody, the same things keep popping up.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And
me and Joe were just talking, and we're like, what are we going to talk about today?
Mm-hmm. Maybe the difference between doing this all the time and doing that all the time.
In all fairness, that person was going for the 12.
That person might have been you.
That person might have made a bad shot.
No, you shot the... Oh, yeah. No, I thought you shot a... No, that was you too.
No.
Yeah.
Mine was over here.
No.
No, my other one
was... That's an 8 and a 7.
High. Are you sure?
Yeah, that's definitely you.
The jury's still out on that.
I'm not. I have the video. I can show that. I could insert.
So today's question, tongue-in-cheek, clickbaity title, is what makes an archer successful? Mm. What does that mean? Everybody just takes these words and just says success, okay, and they put a generic attachment of success.
Like, I got 3rd place at IBO.
They see Bodie Turner, and when they see success, it's not a specific picture of success. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna be different than a lot of people, because I know I can't define success as beating Levi Morgan, right? I don't have the time. I don't have the money to the travel. I don't have it. My idea of success is honestly shooting decent, right? Like, I'm good locally, right? I'm not amazing, but I'm okay. And my goal is always fun. Like, if I can crack a joke when someone's at full draw and get them to let down, that is way better to me than shooting an inside out 12. I don't care. My goal is fun. I don't like to shoot with stuffy people. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy the community. I want to enjoy my friends. I want to hang out while I'm shooting, and that's what I think is successful: laughing and having fun.
I agree, but I want to challenge you.
Okay.
You shoot very well.
I'm not bad for an old dude.
Clearly, there is a somewhat point-related, shot-related goal as well.
Oh, yeah. I want to shoot. Yeah,
get specific about that, because that's what people struggle with. And fun is something that we all struggle with too. So I'm not discounting that.
Yeah, everybody's fun is different. I don't know. It depends on the day, right? If I'm feeling really good and shots are breaking well, I expect to shoot well. Like, and well for me, like last night, right? So we shoot Lancaster scoring X's are 11. I was like 314 last week. I was 315. That's better than I like. I'm getting better. Like I dealt with. We talked about earlier. I had a horrible, like few month battle with target panic, and I got through it. And I'm just trusting the process right now. So I'm my points are coming back. Like I'm getting better, right? Like I'm hoping to be 320s by the end of leagues. That's the goal. Like maybe mid 320s, but I don't know. We'll see. And like that's the goal, but it's like it's a goal, but it's not like the focus, right? Does that make sense if I say it that way? Like it's my goal, but like I know it's going to take me time to get there.
Okay, so yep. I almost consider this as motivation.
Yeah, it's like the carrot on the stick.
Yeah, which score can be motivation.
Yeah.
Like it can be motivation, but it can't be your focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
my focus is breaking a good shot, remembering that if I think I should probably let down, I let down. If I draw back and my pin isn't acting like it normally does, I let down. Like those are like the small wins that I'm using to get me to that big goal, right? Like if you're trying to lose weight and go to the gym, you have, like a bowl of oatmeal instead of a donut for breakfast. You go to the gym, you park farther away and walk when you're going somewhere just to get those extra steps in, or whatever people do to lose weight. I'm lazy.
I love this. Joe said it like 3 times during that, and it might have seemed like a small thing, but he said getting better.
Yeah.
Now, if you attach a more specific vernacular to that, you have your path more or less.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So this is USA Archery Training talks about something, and this is going to seem like super corny liberal arts kind of a thing, but it really hit home with me. He talks about 2 different mindsets to have. One is a performance-based mindset, where you should do this, so anything less than this is a failure, which results in negative emotion. And you all know in archery, negative emotion compounds, and that's the worst thing for your shot. Mm-hmm. That's performance mindset. You need to be here. You need to be here. You need to be here. Growth mindset is the alternative to that, and it's focusing on everything as a learning experience, taking things as they come, not immediately labeling anything as good or bad, and you're focused on growth.
Yeah. Like
Joe's saying, if you're trying to lose weight, growth isn't going to the gym 4 hours the first day you go there. It's let me add that extra walk, like he was saying. It's little things that are going to set you up for success in the long run.
Yeah, incremental steps. And I feel like that is the one thing that kind of gets glossed over in archery. Like, they're like, a lot of teams are like, I want perfect form. I want to break a perfect shot. And it's like, well, okay, that's great to want to do those things.
Yeah, that's motivation.
But you have to do the things to get to the little things. Like
the focus.
You need small goals, medium goal. Like, shit, it's a book. I actually read books occasionally. It's like it was set out. You need like short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals, right? In everything you do. So like, you're working your way to the long-term goals slowly. And it's just little tiny rewards. It's like following a crumb trail. There's little snacks along the way, right? Get those little snacks. You occasionally get to the bigger snack, just slowly work your way there.
I haven't talked to many pros about how they achieve the success that they achieve, but occasionally you hear about the stories where somebody picks up a bow 6 months later, they're on the Lancaster shootout stage. Yeah. And we're human beings. We have a natural inclination towards comparison.
Notice that usually you never hear from that person again.
That's interesting too. I didn't think about that.
All those guys that and gals, I'm sure, that do that step. It's just pure natural talent, and sometimes that pure natural talent can fizzle a lot faster than the guy that's worked to get there, right? So, I mean, I'm not trying to dissuade you from, if you have amazing natural talent, go for it, but don't rely on it. You gotta build, even if you're shooting amazing in the beginning, you still need to work on those basics and fundamentals of the game to get you to stay at that top level. Like, you can get there quicker with natural ability. I'm not saying you can't.
You can.
But to stay there,
yes,
you have to have the basics hammered out. Like, there's a saying, it's like, there are no special skills at the high level. It's just the fundamentals perfected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basketball, football, you're paying to watch people who are phenomenal at fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he's talking about with natural ability, this is something that we see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You can, especially if you have that type of build and that type of makeup where you can naturally pick things up.
Yeah. Hand-eye coordination.
Do not get dissuaded, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
You achieve success based on natural ability, and I know he talks about this. I know he understands it. And then the floor kind of falls out from under you, and all of a sudden it seems like I have no shot, and you pant, and all this stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I believe right now, from what I've seen, and I've come a long way in my line of thought, the number one thing you need to be successful in archery is a strong mentality.
Yeah, over almost everything.
Don't get dissuaded, Scott. Don't let those little dips, or even if it is a big dip, I guarantee you think it's bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Don't let your mental go. If your form isn't there, do not sacrifice your mental. The mental is something that, if you have a strong mental, it is not dependent upon how you're scoring. If somebody just dry fired their bow next to you, if everybody's watching you, if Joe sticks a camera right up on your release and makes you want to punch it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a strong mental, all of those things go away so you can actually have the arena to work on your shot.
Yeah.
And I used to be a form, a stickler for form, and I still am. I always thought it was number one. Form, number one. Has to be form first. Get your perfect form. You're going to develop target panic. Don't worry, we'll talk about that later. That was my approach way early on, kind of. It was more based out of ignorance than anything. Then we go to Lancaster, and I see Cam, who has pretty good form, and he's shooting against a pro, Sergio Pogni. And I'm looking at both of them, and Cam started out shooting phenomenally. He has very good natural ability. And Sergio didn't start off all that great. And he has one of those forms, you'll see it everywhere, where his elbow's out, his chest is more facing the target. As far as USA Archery is concerned, or any
sanctioning body,
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
His form is wrong. But as I'm watching these two, Cam's score started going down. The pressure started getting to him, and he didn't have a process to rely on, no matter what that process is, surprise shot or command shooter. And I see Sergio find a groove and just start plugging them in the center. And that is when it hit me, where it was like, that's the difference between pros and amateurs. That's a dude whose form is, if he showed up for a lesson and I didn't know he was a pro, back in the day, I'd say, well, you need to fix these 5 things immediately.
Yeah.
And then I'd go get my butt whooped over on the range by him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, so form must not be everything. There's something else there. And then we see all the time fantastic shooters that any level 2 archery coach, anybody that's ever seen, could look at you and say, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But then you look down here and you're like,
it totally works.
Oh no, you're not doing it wrong at all.
Yeah. Well, you see that in a lot of sports, right? You see those outliers that don't fit the cookie cutter, like this is X, right? Like no matter what you're doing, if you're throwing a football, if you're throwing a baseball, if you're swinging a bat, a golf club, whatever, right? And you pick it, whatever other sports or hobbies you have, you can look to examples in that of people that don't fit the cookie cutter, this is the way you do that thing, and they're phenomenal at that thing somehow still, right? But they have figured out what works for them. And that's what we're trying to convey here is like you have to figure out your mental space along with your shot, along with your form, along with your setup. Like
there's no excuse.
Archery is a bell curve. Like that's the way I keep coming back to this bell curve thing in my head.
Can you describe that in greater detail, what that means?
So it's like, right, like to have success in archery, let's just say, hey, it's a graph of like form one way, like overextended, leaned back form is on one side of the bell curve. short elbow in, you know, a shorter maybe head forward stance is on the other form, and then perfect, amazing form according to the books is dead center. And as long as you're in this top bell curve, I think it works. And then the same for like having a shot process. Surprise, break, resistance release shooters are over here. Command, punch, Tim Gillingham is over here. And then somewhere in this middle, you have, you know, a lot of shooters that still shoot phenomenal, and they kind of pull from both worlds, I think, depending on the situation. Because you know, you have guys that shoot surprise breaks most of the time, but they'll also tell you like, dude, that wind was ripping. I got on the center and smacked the shit on the trigger, right? So like, I think everything is a bell curve, and it's gray, right? Like,
and stuff like he just said is like, your coach should tell you, don't flip and do that.
yeah,
But you look at pros that do stuff like that, and it's like, okay, it's almost like we want a super straightforward path to the top. And it's like, I'm fragile, so I don't want any hiccups along the way. Like, I just want to be on it, and I just don't want to make any mistakes. And I just want to and people actually shoot with fear of losing what they have, whatever their shot is. And that's almost always what happens when you start shooting worse.
you get timid, I think.
Yes.
Like if you're
You're shooting
like,
safe.
yes, yeah. You're like, I'm just gonna do my best. I'm just gonna take it easy. Where like, I think sometimes when you get like, Turner talks about it, right? When you're trying to pull through a release or move slowly, you know, you have to walk through a house that's on fire. You know, you have to say it louder in your head. You have to build that grr in your talking to yourself, right? And I think that's missed sometimes, where people.
Yes, just that I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you have to like. You gotta be almost like be a little bit aggressive.
And what is it? I'm gonna do it. That's not the motivation. It's not, I'm gonna shoot a 300.
No. It's, I'm gonna break a clean shot.
I'm going to do the small focus.
Yeah.
Whatever that small focus is that you're struggling with, I urge you to get as specific as you can, and I guarantee the problem that you need to solve, and I've said this in videos before, can be found through 2 minutes of honest self-reflection.
Okay.
Walk through your shot, take a shot, okay? Shoot 10 arrows, shoot whatever you're shooting, okay? Look at your shot. When is the first time that you get that question mark? Or, oh, this step feels inconsistent, or this, it's not hard, okay? I drew back, okay, I've loaded up my back properly, so it's not a tremendous, movement to get into my anchor, okay? And then I'm here and I'm just not steady. Oh, that's it, I'm not steady. Start there. Start with your hold position. As soon as those anxious nerves start firing, that's what to address.
It's like when you're trying to close that door on that thing, and it's like you have that door in your house or your car or whatever, you shut it and it bounces back a little bit. That little bounce back is what you're looking for. The first time you shut a door and it like,
yes,
you're
expecting something, and something else happens.
Yeah, you're trying to move steps, and you're like, what? It squeaked really loud and scared you a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
Solve that one.
Yeah, and then work your way.
Jordan Peterson talks about making your bed in the morning, and it's pick some goal that's beyond what you do right now and make it so small that you can't possibly screw it up. And build that snowball.
Yeah.
Go to the next one. Get in the habit of, and this is how I define success in archery, is constantly breaking the goals that you set. That's it. Whatever that looks like to you. So constantly breaking the goals that you set, if that becomes your motivation, if that becomes success to you, you're okay with taking those small steps. And honestly, you should be proud of yourself. Don't walk around like you're better than everybody, but be happy with yourself. Take the small things and let them build into big things.
Yeah, I think like a perfect first easy step for somebody like that shoots a good bit, right? And if you have a struggle, right? Like set your first goal, like something like, even if like this simple, right? I want to draw back an anchor. I want to get comfortable. And when I open my eye, I want the peep to be perfect.
Something like that.
And
If that's your issue, then yes.
Yeah, even like just set that goal. Be like 10 times in a row. It's perfect. Be like perfect. Next goal.
Do it until you can't screw it up.
Yes, yeah. Like I really like when I'm shooting indoors, I like to be like draw my bow and have the pin on the target already and move the peep into my eye so that there's no extra head movement at all. Like I watch my wife mainly do this like head thing trying to get head alignment. I'm sorry, Jan. And it's like I don't know what she's doing. We've talked about it a million times, but it's like I don't know if it's like a natural tick or whatever. And that's like the biggest example of it. But I see so many people on the line, they're here and they're searching for their peep. And it's like setting your peep height is like anybody can do that at home. Like it takes 2 seconds to like cut that knot out, give it a little touch here or there, get it perfect. That perfect peep alignment is like usually, it's one thing I see that like is one of the first things that gets people not thinking about a shot or like getting through that aiming step and onto the execution step. It's peep alignment. Like
if you cut your peep out at home,
be careful.
Just know that, well, 1, don't cut your string. 2, somebody's got to be there to straighten it out for you. When you move the peep, it'll twist. So make sure you have the capability to tie it in and just twist it back or bring it to a shop.
Yeah, so, go to a shop, be like, hey, I need a half hour to get my peep out perfectly.
Yeah, don't just take that, cut it out, move it, draw back, wonder why you can't see anything.
I speak from my, I'm sorry.
Quick little side note.
Yeah, good call. So yeah, like something that simple will make a huge difference in your shooting.
And the more time you spend on perfecting it, the more it becomes your own.
Yeah.
I'm working with a new archer, and we just talked about the anchor point. Mm-hmm. And I want it to be such that when I walk past my student and I look at them and I say, that's not your anchor, they look at me, say, I am 100% certain this is my anchor point because of this, and this. I know for a fact. So no matter what I say, you're like, I'm here. Yeah. Do you have that confidence in every step of your shot? If the answer is no, start with the first one. In USA Archery, there's a lot of good stuff that USA Archery, a lot of good resources. They use the example of a chair. Okay, this is a Kissikli example where basically I'm a little expressive for this small frame, but I'll try to use this example. So pretend this is a chair right here. There's a stool right here if you can't see it, a little target. Pretend I'm 20 feet away from that stool. Every step that I take in my shot is one step towards the finish, which is the actual breaking of the shot, the execution, right here, the stool. Most people treat it like this. Pretend I'm 20 feet away. Draw back, get anchored, figure it all out. They're not prepping the right muscles. They're not telegraphing the motion that they're gonna do when they follow through. They're not building up all of those steps to make it easy on themselves. So the image is basically, if I'm 20 feet away, I actually learned on this one, I put a paper towel in it. If I'm 20 feet away, what you're doing is you're saving all of these steps for the very end of your shot. The most crucial, pivotal, consequential part of your shot. You're saving, you gotta get steady, you gotta aim, you gotta execute. You freaked out a little bit, so you gotta re-aim. Now you gotta execute again, and then all of a sudden your fingers did that bang. Mm-hmm. You're doing so much at the end, and people with natural ability, Tyler, can make that work for a certain period of time. But natural ability is not consistent. It's not basketball where there's a bunch of different ways to make a layup. Your bow needs to be shot one way. So with this example, every step that you take that you have made your own, like Joe was saying, the peep step. Most people don't even think about their draw nearly enough. You draw to activate the correct muscles so that when you anchor, you're already pretty darn close to a solid holding position, and you just gotta do a little thing. And every time you do one step correctly, you take a step towards the shot. Next step correctly, boom, to the shot. That way, when it comes time for that shot to actually break, you've already done everything else. All you have to do is two things. execute the shot and stare at the center. Really, you're only doing one thing. You're executing the shot while your eyes are fixed on what you want to hit. And then in the chair example, boom, you're right here, take the shot.
Yeah, I find that, like, that's last step you just described, right? That, like, look at the center, execute. I find that to be, like, a huge sticking point for a lot of people I talk to, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there that when they're shooting, they're staring at the pin.
Yeah.
And they're trying to, like, stare at the pin, the short focus, and move that short focus to the target, right?
And while they're doing that, that's re-aiming.
Yeah,
that's
every single
executing.
time.
That's
Yeah.
aiming. That's executing. That's ba.
Yeah, and so you'll watch them on the release, and it's like pressure, no pressure, pressure, no pressure, pressure, no pressure, and you got to zoom in with a phone video to see this, right? It's just and every time you do that, your brain's opening a door, closing a door, opening a door, closing a door, open a door, close a door. What you want at the end of the day to do is you want to aim, step done, close door, execute, open door, walk into room. I'm only executing. My eyes are just on that X, burning a hole in it. Hopefully you have a big, nice hole down there in the center of the 10, and you're just execute, bang, shot goes off. I feel like that is something that a lot of people that could be their step, right? That could be their goal, is to understand that step. I'm not saying your goal is to master it. I'm saying understand it, know when you do it right, and work towards that mastery of that step.
If that's the step you're on, because
Yeah.
what I was just saying is, and that's the thing is, there's no like
Yeah.
there's
I'm
no
just using it as an
thing.
example.
I just like, for me, this is like a Deso thing.
Yeah.
Like, you've put so much work and so much time and effort into the last 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That step might be super hard because the steps before them have not been completed,
Yeah.
or are not completed in a consistent manner every time.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have the right mentality,
Yeah.
but there's still inconsistencies because of the way that you, for
Some
me,
of that pressure.
it's so big for me those days, and I know if you've shot leagues, you've experienced this. Okay, leagues are here, you know, you were just shooting all day long, you know, this week with nobody else around, you're holding rock solid, boom, right on the center. Leagues happen, Joe's here, Janet's like right behind you, you're all squeezed in here. You get to full draw and it feels like you've never shot a bow before. I mean, that thing's going, covering all 3 target faces, it's taking a look at Janet's face, it's looking at Joe, it's just... Make sure you give the steps their place. That is almost always me wanting to get past like the holding step. And the holding step is dependent on how I draw. If I just get back and anchor however I want to, any one of those ways could work, as long as that was the only way that I did it. But if I draw back and I'm consciously thinking about that muscle, and as I'm anchoring, I'm using that anchor step to build back tension. That way I'm at 90% back tension, let off the safety or put your thumb on or whatever your trigger is or whatever your release is, and then boom, quick. Just a confident shot. You watch a lot of the pros, very rarely do they hold forever. I mean, it's to the point where the announcers call it out. Oh, this is a long hold.
Yeah. Or, oh, he's going to be shooting good. He's the first one off the line.
Just confidence. They're not rushing. They're giving everything their steps so they can shoot it with confidence. Because as soon as you have that question mark in your head on any step, deletes your confidence. Depending on your mentality. I mean,
and like archery is, at the end of the day, a physical sport, right? You need to have muscle and bone alignment and structure to be able to get back, get into these things. But it's so much between your ears that like you can ruin somebody's day. Like, I mean, how many times have we messed with Red while he's shooting? And I'm like, that's not how you normally hold your release. Like, oh, your hand is a little bit weird. Like, why is it full draw? Just so he doesn't win the money like usual. Like, it's so easy to get in someone's head shooting archery. Like, we do a Wednesday night 3D league, and like, if I can get you to let down, I get a point. So it is always my life's goal when we're shooting to get you to let down and to break that confidence. And you can watch it in people's shot when they say it. They'll be sitting there really good. Everything will look really good. You can watch the end of their bar and you can say something to them, and then you can just watch that stabilizer start moving. Try it on your friends. It's fun.
It's effective.
Oh yeah.
Because when you do it to Red, we talk about a guy named Red. I would say consistently been the top shooter here ever since we opened.
And even before that,
Even before that,
yeah.
but we try to mess with him. Like, he keeps winning, so we keep trying to tear him down.
Oh yeah,
as good friends.
and that's what we do.
You can't. He's a rock. Like, his mentality, like, you can't screw with him. It's to the point where it used to be fun because we used to be able to get to him, and now
He's heard it all. Yeah, like
now it's not even fun. So,
I don't know what I don't know where this next step will be.
And where has Red's shooting gone? He was always a very good shooter, but you could rattle him, and then pressure would come in, and points would drop.
He's figured something out. Yeah.
That dip was a blessing for Red.
Yeah.
Because it caused him to see what made him fail.
Yeah.
Don't look at a failure and go home and try to drink it away and forget about it.
Dude, you gotta do the Jocko. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you failed.
Good.
I'm glad you failed. You need to fail.
Yeah.
This life, archery, is meant to be walked on the border of what? Order and chaos.
Yeah.
Everybody that craves too much order shoots safe. You cannot shoot a bow well safe. Yeah. If it's too chaotic, well, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail, because the biggest failures that you have expose your biggest weaknesses, which open the door to that incremental growth towards something that can eventually be your biggest strength.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to like for Red, it was an opportunity for him to find the step, address the step, move past it, and it's worked. Like, he doesn't shoot nearly as much as he used to, but he's still a phenomenal shot.
So I received a question on Messenger. Kelly asked me, I'm a command shooter. How do I keep it together during high pressure situations? And, I didn't respond because that's a big question. It's a big question. If you have a coach that hears you say one thing and immediately he gives you a response, probably fire him. Like, that's
a tough one.
There's a nuance to a lot of those things. Take that with a grain of salt. There's not a flat answer. So I'm thinking, why would that be any different? Command shooting versus surprise shot. Because I shoot a surprise release, and my initial response was, talk to Cam. He shoots, or my initial thought was, talk to Cam. He shoots command, he shoots very well. And then I'm thinking about it, I don't think it changes. How you succeed under pressure doesn't change whether you're a command or a surprise shooter. Pressure reveals truth, right? Like, you could say, okay, if a shooter were to come in here, I'm just going to step up, I'm going to dive in front of women and children, I'm going to go tackle him. And then a shooter walks in here and you're out the back door. Pressure reveals truth.
Oh, I thought you meant like a guy that was coming in to shoot. I'm like,
oh no, like an active shooter. I forgot. This is an archery channel.
I was so confused.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sorry. Yeah, active shooter comes in here. The guy that's talking. Oh, I'm gonna be this guy. Same thing with the guy that always wants to fight people. It's like, when the rubber hits the road, that's when truth is revealed. So use those opportunities where, when you break under pressure, it shows you what your focus is. It shows you the things that are important to you. And a lot of times it's hard because you think that this is your goal, when really it's actually just your focus is on a higher score, or different stuff like that. And it's individual. Everybody's thing is different. Like, the reasons you fail are different.
Do you think that they're looking, that goal is too far away? They need to look more short-term goal.
It's just like we were talking about. You have your motivation. Shooting a high score is a valid motivation if it is for you, okay? But it can't be the focus. So something has transferred the importance of the moment from the focus to the motivation. And the motivation doesn't get you the result. The focus gets you the motivation, gets you the result, pretty much. So it opens up stuff like that in a very clear way, because it's very clear when that happens.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out that step for a command shooter, right? Because I've always tried to, even when I shot triggers, I mean, I shoot a trigger now, but before I had a lot of stuff dialed, when I shot a trigger, it was more I'm staring at the pin and whack. I never had a plan. So could you unpack what do you think that plan would be? Like, can you break? Because I mean, you shoot surprise shot too, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to break down. Like in my head, I'm like, I don't even know, like how that, like I struggle with that. Like when somebody asks me a question like that as well, because I'm like, I'm not really sure.
In
honestly.
my opinion, this is what's worked for me. Your shot should take up so much of your mental space that you have no room to think about anything else. If it doesn't completely consume your mind for those 13 seconds that you're shooting between knocking and the arrow actually firing, if you leave the door open where you're not self-talking, where all this stuff that just opens the opportunity for inconsistencies of focus, of motivation, of what's that guy doing, how they just shoot, different stuff like that. But if you have such an intense focus on your shot, which is the reason I love the element, it takes somebody with less discipline and it becomes the discipline for you.
So you think, like, honestly, to shoot that surprise shot, it's honestly probably more discipline you would need to get that to work properly. You think
I think you need more. I think you need more discipline if you shoot a command shot.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but that has to be manufactured from between your ears.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was curious about.
That's one of the reasons I like the element, is because it almost, or any resistance release, because it makes it more digestible.
Okay.
It forces you to focus so hard on what you're doing that it's not that you can't fail, but it trains you to focus on your release. If you're a command shooter, you have all the freedom in the world.
Yeah, because it's only this one tiny little muscle versus big giant back muscles.
And with all that freedom comes a tremendous amount of responsibility.
Ooh, Spider-Man in the house.
Uncle Ben.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, because I never really thought about it, honestly, like trying to break down a command shot, like how they do that.
And if whatever problem you're working on seems insurmountable, remember that making your bed thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Make it as small as possible. Like, okay, if it's performing under pressure and you can shoot fine in here, slowly find ways to add a little bit of pressure and perform
Come in Saturday when
pressure.
it's busy.
Yeah, and practice intentionally shooting under pressure.
Yeah, get your phone out, record you while you're shooting.
Yeah, people like that, like people like Kelly, you can come in here and you can pound the center out of a target. And it's not that you don't need to keep practicing your shot, but the part of your shot that you need to practice is the pressure portion.
Yeah.
And if you look at like USA Archery or any of those high-level coaches, or like Joel Turner's SWAT background or whatever, all of that is in the context of performing under pressure.
Yeah.
It's not, let's practice, let's dance around in a field and pick daisies and shoot, and then, okay, now we're performing. So now let's see how you do. It's they practice performing under that pressure.
That's why I love league night here. Like, there's always loud music. There's always people talking loud. There's occasionally, children yelling and screaming and running. It behind the shooting line, of course.
Joe is actively trying to get you to.
I'm actively have a probably camera pointed at your release thumb. I have some great video from last night. Actually, I'll get.
If you're new, Joe's not going to do that to you. Joe does that.
Yeah,
to
no,
people that he knows very well.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
don't worry about coming in here. Come on in.
Yeah.
We love when new people show up. That's one of our big focuses.
I never mess with the new guys or gals.
Unless you're that type of person. In that case, we can pick up on that pretty quick and we'll have fun with you.
I like to judge the temperature of the room. And
Yeah, don't be afraid to show up. He does that to people that he thinks can handle it or need it.
yeah, exactly. So
continue.
That's what no, you're good. That's why I love leagues, right? Like if you can shoot leagues here, you can shoot leagues. You can shoot well anywhere. Like when I was I was talking to George about this when I was down for my lesson, and I keep talking about this. Name drops.
Joe's somebody, man. He knows George Ross.
I don't know him. I did a lesson. I had to pay him to be his friend. So that was one piece of advice he gave me, like, hey, do you have a rival shop? Do you have like a rival club that you can go to their leagues and shoot against them? He's like, find someone that hates you, which I don't think anybody would hate anybody around here, but like find those people that, that should be intimidating to you and shoot with them. Mm-hmm. That's why I love when like somebody will move to the area or like somebody will come to our shop for the first time. And we're like, oh, new guy or gal, whatever. And they just come in and pound the center out. And I'm like, you need to come to leagues. Like we need you here. you know, that like rising tide raises all boats, right? Like I totally believe that. You know, I think having somebody with that talent and the skill that has worked their way there and comes in and just pounds out the center that doesn't know anybody and then just fits in and like helps everybody in the room, like everybody gets better together. And that's always circles back to like my build the community will make everyone better.
Speaking of that, last night we had our Thursday night Vegas Lancaster scoring league.
Yeah.
We have 28 spots available. We had 27 filled.
Mm-hmm.
There is somebody out there shooting 30 X's. That's somewhat local. Show up 5:30. You can start warming up.
Yeah.
Beat red.
Yeah.
We'll give you a whole bunch of money to do it.
Last night there were people in the peanut gallery that were literally throwing money on the counter if red got beat.
There was a lot of money on the line.
Yeah.
Hey, come shoot. It'll be free. If you beat red, it'll be free.
Yeah,
People will throw money at
on
you.
us, yeah.
We got a spot left.
Yeah.
Come on, whoop his butt.
Yeah, and here's the thing, if we don't have a spot left, I will happily not shoot that night.
Yep.
So that you can shoot, so will Luke, so will my wife. We will make room if
Yep.
you come.
Yep, bring the competition.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
you're brand new and you're looking for a spot to go shoot, you've never tried a league, drop in.
Yeah, yeah.
Drop in a little bit early, that way we can make sure you're sighted in and all that stuff. And
The secret code is red goes down 2025. Just use that code, free league. No, I'm just kidding. But if you do beat red, it will be on us.
yeah.
So yeah, okay, so we unpacked that. We unpacked Archery's bell curve pretty well, I think.
I gotta go to the bathroom bad.
Luke's gotta go
Should we end it
potty.
or
Yeah, we can end it. Yeah, I'm happy with where we're at. I
it was
think
a good talk.
I think we've reached something. So good luck. Thanks for watching. Luke is running away, literally. Cinda's is not getting along with Luke, guys. But anyway, thank you for watching. By this time, you've seen the big announcement. Matthews is in the house. Come shoot some bows and have fun with us. See you next time.